How do I know what the interviewer is going to ask me?
You're never going to know what they're going to ask you in an interview. If you go to the career section of any bookstore, there are literally dozens of books full of potential interview questions. So don't panic and don't try to read their minds. What you want to know is the questions that you are most particularly worried about having to answer, and the questions that they, given their interests, the want ad that they've posted, and any other information you can come up with, what they are most likely to ask you. And you want to focus on preparing that material for the interview. And then you'll be ready sort of for whatever form the question comes in when they finally deliver it.
How should I handle questions I don't want to be asked?
There are always questions that we don't want to be asked in an interview, and somehow interviewers always know what those questions are. And so the chances are quite good that they're actually going to get asked in the interview. So don't avoid them. Sit down ahead of the interview, list for yourself the questions that you are most worried about being asked. Questions like, well, what have you been doing for the last 6 months? Or why did you leave your last job? Or can we talk to your last supervisor? Those can sometimes be difficult questions. Sit down, list them, and then come up with a very factual, short answer that is the truth. We don't want any lies in an interview, but it doesn't need to be the whole truth. So if your boss and you had lots of knockdown, drag-out fights at work, you can just say, my boss and I did not have the best fit. I really admired and respected that my boss was meticulous and devoted to detail, and I learned a tremendous amount from him. But overall, I wouldn't say that he was my best supervisor or that he would rank me as one of his best workers. It's truthful, but it's very low-key, and it presents you as being, honest and in control of the situation. And that's the way you want to handle any difficult question that comes up in an interview.
Is there anything I shouldn't ask my interviewer?
The only thing that you should not ask the company or the interviewer is something that you should have been able to find on their website. Which is why it's important to read the website before you go into an interview. That's the question when I talk to employers. That is the thing that always sets them off. They didn't read the website. It was quite clear from the questions they were asking that they never read the website. So the rule of thumb is if it's on the website, don't ask about it. But ask about what you have read on the website. So indicate that you are aware of what's on the website, and then say, I read on your website about XYZ program. I'd like you to tell me a little bit more about that. So that's the only absolute don't ask about it. The other things that you may want to avoid asking about, if you can, are what the job pays, because that's a question that's likely to get you into salary negotiations sooner than you'd like to. So that's one that I normally recommend against, but every once in a while you're going to want to ask that in an interview. Everything else, you should be able to find some formula, some neutral way of asking. If it's a question you have about the company, you should be able to ask it in an interview. And indeed, if they don't want you asking difficult questions in an interview, you have to wonder whether this is a company that you really want to go work for.